Good afternoon, everyone. This is a meeting of the San Joaquin County Civil Service Commission special meeting held on November 30th, 2022, and it's 2:30 p.m. With that, I call this meeting to order, and I will turn it over to Ms. Hopkins.
Ms. Rivas, can you do the roll call, please?
Yes. Chair Lofstrom,
Here.
Commissioner Gutierrez,
Here.
Commissioner Ramos.
Here.
Okay. Thank you, Chair. We'll start with the agenda, and I'd like to first start off by thanking the Commission for having this special meeting, since there was a lot on the agenda that we needed to cover, and we're near the end of the year. It's much appreciated. We'll start with subsection 2, reports of disciplinary action. We do not have any reports of disciplinary action under, oh, I'm sorry, I forgot to approve the minutes. We're going to back up. Sorry, Chair. We're going to approve the minutes of October 12th, 2022.
I saw that, and I am so sorry, but I didn't see them in the packet. I'm sure they were in. Can I get a copy of them real quick? Thank you.
Do the other commissioners have their copy? Awesome.
Yes.
Thank you.
I think we can move forward with, I just forgot the word.
To approve the minutes.
Yes, a motion. That's
Yeah,
the word.
I'll move that we approve the minutes as presented.
I second that.
All those in favor say aye,
Aye.
and opposed, and the meeting minutes are approved.
Thank you, Commissioner. Okay, now we're on to reports of disciplinary action. There are no reports of disciplinary action to cover this afternoon under reduction in salary, dismissal, demotion, or suspension. Under communications, we have not received any new communications for consideration today. Subsection 4, old business. There is no old business to discuss. We're moving on to subsection 5, new business, amendment of class specifications. Our first class specification to discuss this afternoon is classification project 21-035. This affects the district attorney's office, the sheriff's department, and the probation department, and it's to amend the class specifications for all peace officer classifications included in the San Joaquin County Civil Service System. That is the title. This is due to some amendments to legislation, and Amy Brimmer will come up and explain. Ms. Brimmer?
Thank you. Good afternoon, Chair Lofstrom and Commissioners. This item requests that you adopt changes to each county civil service peace officer classification and those classifications from which we recruit and hire that are intended to become peace officers. These classes are assigned to 3 county departments, district attorney, probation, and sheriff, and are represented by 7 labor organizations. Changes are spurred by 2020 Assembly Bill 846. A portion of what AB 846 effected is adding penal code that directs every police department, sheriff's office, or other entity that employs peace officers shall review the job description that is used in the recruitment and hiring of those peace officers and shall make changes that emphasize community-based policing, familiarization between law enforcement and community residents, and collaborative problem solving while de-emphasizing the paramilitary aspects of the job. Changes to the job descriptions before you are the result of coordination between the affected departments, labor organizations, and human resources. Content changes intend to disrupt the classifications as little as possible, standardize the language where applicable, and are centered around adding rapport-building language with few paramilitary references requiring deletion. Changes made outside the context of AB 846 are limited to format corrections, identified typographical errors, and adding the standard ADA statement where needed. Specific to the Sheriff's Department classifications, we use this opportunity to remove reference to coroner duties as the Office of the Medical Examiner now handles this function. This summarizes the project More detail is available in the staff report and attached legislative digest. We do have representatives from various departments, various of the 3 departments, available and participating remotely, should you have questions.
Thank you, Amy. Are there any questions from here? I thought there might be.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask, I see that psychological evaluations are going to be required. Have they've always had those though, haven't they?
That's correct, yes.
But-
That's under the Government Code 1031.
Okay. And, but we're gonna now, have a thing dealing, evaluations dealing with a, bias, is that correct? That's the big change that the,
That's the big
Legislature
change
has
under
made.
1031, correct?
Right.
Exactly.
okay.
There were other changes as well, but that's a primary change.
That's the big one though, isn't it? That seems to be. And so all of the, and the community involvement and all, and policing, trying to get the community to support our police as well as we support the community, of course, which we've always done, I know. But it's putting emphasis on that. That's what,
Right, the penal code piece is what directed that.
and when we are gonna be recruiting, say, new people and maybe even within when they go for promotions or whatever, do they know that they're gonna be evaluated? They're gonna be informed that they're gonna be evaluated on bias, I guess, is the best way I can put it.
So California Commission on Peace Officer Standards and Training, otherwise known as POST, is actually who puts into effect those parameters. And so they have guidelines for that at, entry level, the ongoing peace officer requirements, et cetera. So those would all be part of those requirements. I don't know if we want to have any other comment regarding the recruitment side, but
I read in here that they're gonna provide materials, right? About, I guess, how you go about doing this. It's pretty,
yes, Post had a deadline of January of I'm trying to think if it was January of 2022, to reissue what, I might be using an older term, but their selection standards and their manuals to integrate what the new California code prescribed, as well as anything that was related to penal code. So Post had that written material that they needed to have in effect by January of 2022.
have they done that? Have they,
I do know that our chief probation officer is online, and, oh.
Captain
we also have
Petrino or
someone-
Chief Jackson, do either of you know if Post has responded in the way that our commissioner has asked?
Hey, Brandy, this is Steve. I haven't heard anything from Post. I'll let the captain respond, and I may not be the expert on that either, so.
Okay. Thank you, Chief. Captain Petrino, I see you're unmuted.
Yes, ma'am. Director Hopkins. If I understood the commissioner's question correctly, we're discussing the changes under this bill that affected the hiring requirements or job descriptions that we've amended in this process, and if those have been implemented, or what was the specific question?
yeah, well, have they been implemented? Or what I want to know is are we getting some materials and help on how to do these evaluations? This hasn't been done before, correct? This is, or are we already implementing this with the new recruits in terms of the bias evaluations?
Yeah, so to answer the question for everybody in the commission today, good afternoon. My name is Joe Petrino. I'm the captain of professional standards here at the Sheriff's Office, and I oversee all the hiring efforts in conjunction with Director Hopkins and her team assigned to my department. The reality is with this bill, from an operational standpoint in terms of how we go about hiring and evaluating and recruiting, there is zero change. So this is really an amendment to the existing job descriptions and classification descriptions and how they read, specifically articulating in the bill that we highlight certain aspects of the profession of law enforcement pursuant to bill. From a real world standpoint, there is no change in terms of how deputy sheriffs conduct their duties in this county. From a community partnership standpoint, from partnering with others for solutions and coming up with solving crimes and solving community problems, et cetera. On the hiring side, there are many other laws that attach. Amy mentioned the government code 1031, and there's some other sections in the peace officer selection requirements from the post commission. Candidates go through a thorough background investigation on several domains having to do with employment history, drug use history, decision-making history, financial history, and a number of other categories. And then they go through, I heard reference the psychological examination pursuant government code, and they're evaluated there for several things, specifically of which relevant to this conversation would be bias or biased behaviors and tendencies in their history based upon that psychological examination. And all that material comes back to the sheriff's office in the background or the capacity or format of a background to be evaluated ultimately for selection to be hired. So this really changed just some of the wording in our job descriptions, and we also took advantage, as Amy pointed out, to remove some of that coroner's duty language because obviously we no longer perform that function.
Thank you, that's been very helpful. So we've already been, you've already been doing this, where what is it, psychologist or psychiatrist that has to do an evaluation, that has already been done before, huh? Is that correct?
That has been done for
Ever, huh?
time measured in decades, sir, yes.
Okay. All right, so I was just thinking that we might, if they are requiring, the state's requiring us to do this, is it, if we needed help in training or stuff like that, if they were gonna be offering anything like that?
Post would provide that support. Post has provided support historically to the law enforcement agencies.
Okay, good, okay. Good, thank you very much.
Are there any other questions from the commissioners?
I have a comment and then a question. The comment is, thank you for providing AB 846. I read through it. I thought everyone did a remarkable job of getting the language to apply to the spirit of AB 846, and I just wanted to commend all the people involved in that. I thought it was very good. The other question I have, I mean, going back and forth about to bring it up, and finally decided to, it's in the Deputy Sheriff series, starting with the Academy Certified, where the references to coroner was taken out. And my particular question has to refer to under the physical, mental requirements and the third sentence down. So I'm going to give a moment for my fellow commissioners to find where I'm talking. So the Deputy Sheriff Academy Certified, third page, look at the Deputy Sheriff 1, under physical, mental requirements is where I'm talking. And like I said, I've been going back and forth on this. So there's a sentence in there that one thing that's required is occasional lifting, turning of heavy objects or people. And I can see that that would be required in the sheriff's duties, but it seems like it's kind of left over from the coroner, the turning of people. So I was just wanted to highlight that and just make sure that you had gone through that and decided to deliberately keep it.
Chair Lofstrom, yes, that was something I did discuss with the sheriff's office in particular to see if it did need to be removed regarding the coroner's duties, and it was said that that is something that they would be doing and will be doing on that job, still in that role.
I appreciate
Yeah,
that. Thank
no,
you
it's
for
funny you
telling
mentioned
me.
that.
Yeah,
Yes.
I appreciate that.
Yes.
Chair, our Assistant Chief Probation Officer would like to make a comment or ask a question. She has her hand raised. Emily, are you unmuted?
Hi.
Hi.
Actually forgot to take my hand down, but actually, when Captain Petrino was speaking, I was just going to reiterate that I kind of handle more of the operations piece when it comes to a lot of our background investigations, and I can assure the committee that our psychologist that we utilize to conduct our psychological evaluations has already included the bias component to her background examinations, and we do get that information reported out to us. And so, in each background that I review, the portion about bias is in fact noted in the psychological report and evaluation, and it's considered. And just as Captain Petrino indicated, our background investigators for a very long time have already been addressing any bias or hate group participation or anything like that. So it's really not a new business or practice to us. We've already been doing those things. It's just now the state has formalized it with the legislation. So whether or not Post updates the packet, the last information I got from some of our investigators who went to a recent training on the update, they said that Post has until June 30 of 2023 to include the updates on the personal history statement packet, which is the background investigation packet that a candidate submits anytime they're seeking employment as a peace officer. So I just kind of wanted to reiterate, we're on the same page as the sheriff and what they're doing, and that we've been including this information prior to the legislation being rolled out.
Thank you for that clarification, and from Captain Petrino too. And I think with that assurance, it's very helpful. And it's also, as a citizen, it's very nice to hear that, you know, these things already were incorporated. They're simply now formalizing them with the duty statement. So thanks to both of you.
Certainly.
I also was thinking that wherever it's mentioned, where meet and maintain the minimum standards for peace officers as set forth in section 1029, 1031 of the California Government Code, where that's all put about the requirements. I was thinking that might be good to add, as amended, to include provisions to address unlawful bias, so that the people that are applying will know, hey, you know, they're going to look at that too. So it's okay with me. I mean, I might, or someone might look at it and say, I better clean up some things that I have. It's just to let, and I think it lets the public know that we're addressing this issue.
So, Mr. Gutierrez, could you clarify for me, where are you wanting to add this language, or suggesting not?
Yeah, it's wherever we have this, where special requirements, and it's throughout, it's mostly, because with the peace officers, right, I think, as amended, where we have the special requirements, it's on quite a few of the requirements.
Can you choose one and then let me know
then look-
exactly where you are?
Yeah, okay, let's look at, well, the first one.
Is it on the minimum qualifications section?
Well, yeah, the minimum qualifications, yes, it would be on the very first one. And it's throughout, it's mentioned throughout the different, look at number 2, special requirements. You see where I'm at now? I'm looking at the district attorney investigator trainee, because that was the first one in the package that I had anyway.
Commissioner Lofstrom, if I can assist you. On the page you have in your left hand there, the second page of it includes minimum qualifications. And then under the special requirements, there's a number 2 that speaks about the code references that Commissioner Gutierrez was referring to.
Thank you very much. I was having a hard time. So now I know where we are. If you would just repeat that one more time for me, sorry.
Yeah, I think that where we have that kind of language requirement throughout, if we could, I mean, would be suggesting that after where it says government code as amended, the government codes, I guess, as amended, to address, as amended, to include provisions to address unlawful bias.
Okay, I'm kind of neutral about this. I'd like to ask the panel, the people that are online that are impacted by this, what your opinion of this is?
So do any of our departmental reps, would you like to weigh in on Commissioner Gutierrez's suggestion?
Yes, if I may.
Please,
This
Captain
is,
Petrino.
Captain Petrino. Thank you, Director. I don't think that's a poor suggestion in terms of explicitly stating or amending this particular task of becoming compliant with 846 in the job description, sir. What I would offer to the commission for consideration, which is kind of directly related to what we're discussing, which is a new bill that's coming forth and is still working itself out called SB 2, Senate Bill number 2. And what this bill does is kind of enact a few things. One, on the hiring side of the house for peace officers, and two, on the discipline side of the house for peace officers. On the hiring side, it changes virtually nothing for our office in terms of what we're currently doing. It just solidifies some of the things that we're discussing, and a couple other remedial things, like I have to send background investigators to an actual background investigation school, which we already do. But on the discipline side of the house, SB 2 establishes 9 areas the state has identified as grave offenses, such as dishonesty in the course of duties as a peace officer, sexual related crimes. And one of those categories, Commissioner, is bias. And so I'm evaluating that. Post is catching up with staffing and a number of things. And as a matter of fact, earlier this month, we finally got them to come down and give us the training to my staff here in professional standards regarding implementing SB 2 and all the requirements that are going to be attached to that for us. And in looking at that, I need to circle back with human resources and evaluate if we need to do another amendment to these job descriptions to explicitly state some of those changes. And the last one is, and I think you may this may satisfy this recommendation from you, sir, is the overall biggest change as a result of SB 2 is peace officers in the state of California get what's called a basic post certificate. When you graduate that police academy, you get that certificate. It's kind of like the piece of paper that says, okay, now I can be hired as a peace officer someplace if I pass a background and complete a field training program. Throughout your career, based on different requirements, you then obtain an intermediate post certificate and an advanced post certificate. And those belong to you, the individual. That is no more with SB 2. Those now belong to the state and can be revoked, just the same as a medical doctor's license to practice or an attorney's license to practice. And if the state finds any individual peace officer pursuant some of these 9 grave areas that the agencies are now mandated to report to the state through a process, a due process they've established, that certificate may be revoked, subsequently resulting in that peace officer no longer being able to be a peace officer. And so that would be a potential, and again, I need to meet with human resources and discuss this, addition to the job specification. For example, must hold and maintain a valid post certificate, basic post certificate, etc. So thereby, by definition, if one of these things became an issue, they would no longer have a basic post certificate, and that would solve that. And so we have some discussion to do that regarding that, but I think that new bill will cover that explicitly in due time.
Very good. Thank you very much. And that satisfies my question and problem. Thank you.
Okay, then, are there any other comments or questions In that case, I'll entertain a motion to accept classification project 21035 for district attorney, probation, and sheriff.
I move that we do.
I second that.
And all those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
No oppose? I phrased that poorly, I'm sorry. Oppose. Okay, then the motion is passed, thank you.
Yes.
Thank you, Commissioners. For the purposes of this afternoon, there are no adoption of class specifications. We do have 2 classification studies that will be presented by Ms. Brimmer this afternoon. The first one is Classification Project 21-017. This is for San Joaquin General Hospital, and it is to establish the new classification of Surgery Resource Specialist and reclassify 2 positions of Hospital Unit Clerk to Surgery Resource Specialist. Ms. Brimmer's changing out her packet. She'll be right to the podium.
Thank you. Human Resources studied 2 encumbered positions in the Surgery and Recovery Unit of the hospital's Perioperative Services Division. These positions schedule surgeries and coordinate the resources required to perform these surgeries. They're currently allocated to Hospital Unit Clerk classification. Hospital Unit Clerk provides clerical work in support of patients and hospital staff in a patient care and treatment area. Information collected during the study was analyzed and compared with the currently assigned class as well as existing classifications within the county's clerical series. A few key factors considered in determining that the study positions do not fit with any of these classes were that while it is reasonable to consider the positions as clerical in nature, at least some exposure to the medical field and terminology are required for success at entry into the job. Another contributing factor is that the level of work of the study positions does not align with any of the existing classes either. Based on the data collected during the study and samples from other hospitals' similar positions, the attached Surgery Resource Specialist classification was drafted. Human Resources is asking that you approve the new classification and adopt the recommendation to reclassify the study incumbents from Hospital Unit Clerk to the new Surgery Resource Specialist class. We have Perioperative Services Director Debbie Kokola here and participating remotely, should you have questions of the affected department.
I have a comment while the others are collecting their thoughts. Again, I just thought this was well done, and I was particularly struck, I'm looking at our packet, and on the second page under study analysis, there's this sentence which states, they seemingly move through the fast-paced, multifaceted coordination of scheduling departments with ease, whereby at first consideration, any complexities may go unacknowledged. I just thought that was a brilliant statement, looking at that and you know, admitting that they've got their job so well that it seems like there is no issue with it, but the analysts look deeper into it. So that's it. I just wanted to say good job on this.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I think part of that generates for the fact that each of the study incumbents have been in their particular roles and then also with the hospital for quite a period of time. And so sometimes you can kind of minimize or mitigate when you just see the ease at which someone is performing the duties of their job, and then want to ensure that you're not just focusing on that piece of it, but that considering what the duties are and the level of skill required to perform them. So
That did make me wonder. I mean, it was evident that these people had the job for a long time. I did wonder about passing on to the new people that come in who maybe are not going to have quite these skills right from the get-go. But that's the whole point of this, right? The people did a thorough study and looked at exactly what they do, and then this can be passed on to the next people.
So succession planning is something with all the county departments that is dealt with at various levels, but for sure, these would be two positions that would definitely benefit from that.
That came through loud and clear. And it's all right. Recover yourself, but did you have any comments that you wanted to make? And we can wait for you. Just wave your hand at me.
Oh, I think you did a very good job, and
Okay. And
I've
Mr.
had
Ramos?
no questions.
No comment.
Okay, and in that case, entertain a motion to accept the classification project number 21017, establishing the new classification of surgery resource specialist and reclassify the two positions of hospital clerk to surgery resource specialist.
I motion to approve.
Yeah, I'll second the motion.
Everyone in favor say aye. Aye. Oppose, and the motion passed.
Thank you, Commissioners. We're now moving on to classification project 21-025 for the Sheriff's Department. This is to reclassify 4 positions of Senior Office Assistant to Office Assistant Specialist, to reclassify 1 position of Office Supervisor to Senior Administrative Supervisor, and to maintain 2 positions of Senior Office Assistant. And Ms. Brimmer is also presenting this item.
Thank you. Human Resources studied the 7 non-sworn positions in the Courts and Civil Division of the Sheriff's Office. The study reviewed all positions within the civil unit, 4 of which are currently encumbered, 3 are vacant. 6 positions are assigned to Senior Office Assistant, a general clerical class that performs a varied range of duties of average difficulty and complexity. The 7th position is assigned to Office Supervisor classification and provides non-sworn supervision of the work unit, while a sergeant provides sworn supervision. The Senior Office Assistants are assigned to well-defined roles or desks. The desks are described as miscellaneous, intermediate levy, advanced levy, and eviction. Incumbents begin at the miscellaneous desk, then as experience and training are gained, progress through the other desks. With exception of 2 positions assigned to the miscellaneous desk, study findings indicated that factors such as the level and complexity of work were in excess of that provided by the currently assigned classifications. The county's Office Assistant Specialist and Senior Administrative Supervisor were a better fit for the remaining positions whose preponderance of work is highly specialized relative to the currently assigned classes. Human Resources is asking that you adopt the recommendation to reclassify 4 Senior Office Assistant positions to Office Assistant Specialist and 1 Office Supervisor to Senior Administrative Supervisor. I see at minimum we do have Captain Hardy available online should you have questions regarding from the department.
Do either of the 2 commissioners have any questions or comments you want to make?
None for me.
Oh, I just noticed that the ADA language was not included on mine anyway.
Really?
At the bottom of,
Oh, are these on the existing classifications?
So Commissioner Gutierrez, these were existing classifications. We weren't proposing to amend the job specs, which is why the ADA language is not there. But if you'd like to include it in your motion, we can add it.
okay, yeah. Yeah, yeah, I didn't see the ADA language.
Yeah, so if,
That's the
when
only-
you make the motion to approve the reclasses, you can add a motion to ask us to add that to the job spec.
I do exactly that.
So,
I move that we approve them with the ADA language.
okay. Okay, do I hear a second?
I'll second that.
And all those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Opposed, no. And this one is passed as well.
Thank you. There are no staff reports for reporting purposes for today. Additionally, under request for appeal hearings, we do not have any requests for appeal hearings for this afternoon under either classification, dismissal, suspension, demotion, reduction of salary, Rule 19, violation of rules request for appeal, or Rule 20, discrimination. Under subsection F, there are no other requests. Under section 6, set date for appeal hearing, we do need to set the date for a Rule 18 dismissal, suspension, demotion, or reduction in salary. This is to reschedule one that was previously set. We are currently proposing the next date for civil service, which is December 14th, if that works for the commission.
So would that, are you both planning on being here? You need to check, okay.
That works.
Okay, so all three commissioners intend to be present at the December 14th, 2022 Civil
Yes.
Service Commission meeting. So let's set the date for that meeting then.
Okay, I
Mr.
move we-
Annalis, do we need a motion for that? Yes, we'll need a motion for that, please.
Mr. Ramos, why don't you make the motion
It's motion for December 14th.
to,
I'll second the motion.
okay. And all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And
Thank you.
no opposed, so we have our date.
We are now at public comment. So persons wishing to address the Civil Service Commission are asked to limit their total presentation to a maximum of 5 minutes. I don't know if there's anybody in the audience that has any public comment. Okay. We do not have any public comment online, so there is no public comment for this afternoon. Future meeting dates. Our next Civil Service Commission meeting is set for December 14th at 2:30 here in the Administration Building, located at 44 North San Joaquin Street, room 146. The remainder of our dates have been posted for 2023, which include January 11th, February 8th, March 8th, April 12th, May 10th, June 14th, July 12th, August 9th, September 13th, October 11th, November 8th, and December 13th of 2023. There are no appeal hearings set for this afternoon. I will ask that our chair adjourns us to closed session for a discipline appeals training. Mr. Onellis, will we have a report out? We'll just have to close the meeting after the training. There will be no report out.
Okay, thank you. We will now adjourn to a closed session, and there'll be no report out following the closed session.
Thank you.
Aye.